Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope everything is going well with you. I'm just gonna kick this off and go right to town here. All right. After a very interesting set of conversations and email exchanges, I am convinced, 100% convinced, that Lance Noble, the CEO of Oaklandside, the publication nonprofit as it calls itself, that's focused on my town, Oakland, California, presents an institutionally racist media direction for Oakland. When what this is what prompted my conclusion. Okay, it was an email exchange that I had with him uh, that was around my pure disgust with how the publication's love for attacking black men in politics in Oakland just seems to continue unabated. On top of that, Oaklandside illegally used one of my YouTube images, and specifically to make fun of me as part of a you know post that expressed their dislike for the fact that once Oakland City Council member, now Mayor Shang Tao, a Leanna Powell, brought her complaint about her boss violating her civil rights to me and not to Oaklandside. Okay? What I discovered is that the direction of Oaklandside in this weird meanness toward me does not come singly from a reporter, but it comes from the CEO himself. That's Lance. All right. And I learned this after my attempt to establish a new relationship, reset, right? And that attempt was rebuffed. And in a way that was very nasty. And a good media friend of mine reported his point of view with this email. Oaklandside isn't interested in being honest or open with you or the public, my friend wrote. You're right. They're racially biased against blacks and Asians and Hispanics. Okay. I hate, saying that about anyone. Okay, I really do. Especially since I grew up with so many white guys who are not like that, that I would prefer to compliment my friends who I've grown up with, particularly in California since elementary school and junior high school and high school, who have been the model citizens for any American, regardless of race, creed, or color. And in particular, with respect to the subject of race. Okay. So I don't want to do what I'm doing. I don't want to make the criticism I'm making, but it's necessary to do so. It's got to be done. It just simply has to be done. All right. And so I did some, online looking around, and I stopped at Lance Noble's website called Davos Newbies. Now, anyone who's followed my content over the years knows that early on, when I started my YouTube channel, I had a really intense interest in the Davos Forum in Switzerland, including attending, which I never got a chance to do. Still have time, I hope, in my life, one of these days. But I even partnered or participated in a YouTube project that culminated in, of all people, the actress Emma Thompson responding to my call for an end to racism. Emma asked people to break down the invisible barriers that keep us all apart, right? And assured me in her video on the Davos Forum YouTube channel, the World Economic Forum, that she is doing all that she can, take all her actions and part, and doing her part to make the world a better place. Bravo for her. The way to do it is to start by communicating with each other. But in my case, and that of other black men, Oaklandside would rather, write insults and untruths about you than, have a dialogue with you. Thus, Lance rebuffing me was, frankly speaking, no surprise. It was rather sad. Lance would rather paint me as, you know, Donald Trump paints his political opponents, right? With names like coal lobbyists, rather than, which is far from the truth, and cloud the truth too, which, Oaklandside seems to love to do. All right. Oaklandside not telling the truth about the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal hides facts the public needs to know, like that it was Oakland, the city of Oakland, and not Phil Tagami, who came up with the idea of hauling 6 different commodities, including coal, all right, through the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal. The trouble is, coal offered the market size big enough to provide revenue to make the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal a business that would make more revenue than expenses without, some subsidy. The city of Oakland tried to hide that fact, even in court tried to hide it under seal, and then worked to cover up the truth, telling the public that it didn't know coal was part of the commodity mix for OBOT until 2015. That, folks, is a complete lie. The truth was that the Tioga Group report identified coal as the OBOT market for the city of Oakland, and that report was published in 2011. That's right, 2011. I begged Insight Terminal Solutions to hire Zenny 62 Media, my company, to get out the truth and take the necessary time to do research and find out the details of how all the puzzle really fit together, okay? Something Oaklandside has never done, all right? Ever, okay? Why? Because it doesn't want the truth out, okay? So here's the fact of the matter is that Oakland could have just, subsidized the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal and erased the need for coal handling to have it, pencil out. But that was, too logical a solution for the city of Oakland in its hyper-political state that it has found itself in over the last, I would say 17 years. Now, in my case, Oaklandside labels me as someone paid by what they call a coal lobbyist, which is a complete lie. My client was Insight Terminal Solutions, a terminal developer whose CEO, John Siegel, had ties to the commodity industry, including coal, all right, and most notably coal. But neither John Siegel nor Greg McConnell, also with Insight Terminal Solutions, and is now currently that, and my friend, are coal lobbyists. But in Oaklandside's version of Trump world, everyone, especially black men, are reduced to labels, okay? I mean, they did this with Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson is best known for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And when he was running for at-large Oakland City Council seat against the incumbent at the time, Rebecca Kaplan, a few years ago, Derek described himself as a successful black businessman. But what Oaklandside did was turn around and said, well, you're not successful. Why? Because he had filed for his business had filed for bankruptcy. Now, you want to hear some news, folks? When Rebecca was running against Derek, she passed to me information that said Derek Johnson had filed, or his business rather, had filed for bankruptcy, and therefore he wasn't the success he claimed to be. I said I wasn't going to use that information, and I said that to Rebecca, well, technically I texted her, that she needed to stop finding negative information about black men and sending it to the press, including myself, thinking we're just going to, regurgitate it without thought. I am not in the business of putting down black folks just to suit somebody because the person who puts out the information thinks that it tars and feathers this person as being, typically unsuccessful or whatever negative they want to attach to a black person. And at the time, that's what Rebecca was doing. And it was wrong. Okay. It's the same information she passed to Oaklandside. But Oaklandside used that information and I refused to. You hear me? I refuse to. Okay? I refuse to. All right? So simply, let me put it this way, all right? As I read more about Lance and Davos, because I talked about Davos Forum, and found mentions of a number of people that I actually interviewed and know about their books and subjects like the dawn of blogging and so on. And that brought up long buried observations I had made about institutional racism in Berkeley and the San Francisco Bay Area. Simply put, in Berkeley and the San Francisco Bay Area, there are white men who consider themselves intellectual, some who come to America from Europe, but do not have a lived history of America and American culture or the Black experience. Lance is from the United Kingdom. He moved to America, Berkeley, in 2005. He is one of those Davos types. Not like Emma Thompson, though. They do not want to talk about racism, just dictate how you think about it. Now, I know some of you are going to chime in and tell me about work that Lance has done in seeking Black views for a particular type of project he had. But when I'm talking, it's far different to seek views from someone Black about what you believe the Black experience is than it is to deal with the thorny subject of how you treat someone Black at a time when you've done something that comes off as racist to them, and therefore a discussion is necessary. A world of difference between the two, folks. So I don't want to hear it. Okay? A world of difference. All right? A world of difference. Okay? So Lance, doesn't get that. He's coming off as a person who wants to dictate to you how to think about race and racism rather than hear about your experience in the context of a disagreement or misunderstanding that he is responsible for. Understand? All right? That's why Oaklandside is bad for Oakland. It doesn't invite dialogue or argument. And I love to argue. And it seeks to dictate and hides the truth, even about how it makes money. In my case, Oaklandside labels me as someone paid by what they call a co-lobbyist, which I've said before is a complete lie. And as I said, my client was Inside Terminal Solutions, a terminal developer whose CEO had ties to the commodity industry, most notably coal. But, all this was known. I was happy to tell anybody, okay? Happy to tell anybody, okay? By contrast, Oaklandside says, hey, we're a 501c3, we have no political ties, and we're unbiased. That is not true. Oaklandside sides with progressive public relations organizations and individuals and presents their view of the political situation in Oakland and only their view. There's no attempt at achieving any kind of balance. They also, Oaklandside does, use terms to put people down, to tag them in a Donald Trump fashion, as I said earlier, and have you thinking about them in this adjective sort of way. Well, this person is a this and this person is a that. It's, if you think about it, not far removed from elementary school. Oh, that person is a this and that person is that. As children always had labels for each other, right? Well, Oaklandside's kind of like that. Has labels for you. Okay? That's been my experience. That's been my experience. And by the way, I'm not the only person who thinks that way. Okay? I'm not. The news industry is tough today. But just because it's tough doesn't mean that news organizations have to go after each other. But that's what Oaklandside has done with me. And that's what their reporter's done. And Lance has been right back there pulling the lever, causing this guy to do it. And then they'll say, oh, Zuni said that we're racist. Well, yeah, you are, because you're afraid to talk to me. You want to have your point of view. You want to have your approach. You want to be authoritarian about it. You don't want to be democratic. You don't want to have any come to Jesus moments. You don't want to talk. It's just your way. Well, guess what? That's not going to fly with me. So I'm not going to allow you to continue this way of behavior without making a statement and another statement and another statement and another statement. All right? It's wrong. You do not run a news organization that way. I don't know what compelled you to think that it was okay, Lance, but it's not okay. All right? You have to embrace the desire to have uncomfortable conversations. All right? That's where real news is created. That's where real dialogue starts. And that's where real social improvement happens. Without that, you're not an Oakland publication, because true Oakland publications, going all the way back to my friend Bob Maynard, who owned the Oakland Tribune, was the largest owner, the largest black man, he was at his time, the only black man to own a news organization of the size of the Oakland Tribune. This was during the 70s and into the 80s, okay? And Bob Maynard worked to have an Oakland Tribune for everybody in Oakland. You see, for those of you who weren't around then, Oakland was incredibly diverse even then. And it was Bob Maynard who owned and ran the Tribune. Lionel Wilson was our first black mayor, starting in 1977. I remember one night we went over to the Safeway on College Avenue, and he and his wife Dorothy were dancing in the aisles at 12 midnight. It was hilarious. I mean, they were cutting the rug too. Dorothy, white, kind of had a Marilyn Monroe look. Lionel, the distinguished judge, African American. Not bad. That's the Oakland I know. What say you? We'll see you.